As we're live, that means we're live. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you may be watching. Get the lighting dialed in. How's everybody doing right now? How's everybody doing? Thanks for being here. Thanks for joining the Pulse live on YouTube exclusively. Later on, we'll go to podcasts. We'll have other places where you can listen and watch. But for now, this show is held exclusively on YouTube as we continue to expose the truth about the Trump regime every single day. Let's share what's really going on in the United States and around the world. Today, we're going to focus on Minnesota. We're going to talk about what happened last night, where Representative Ilhan Omar was charged and attacked by a domestic terrorist. Look, we're actually doing the right thing by labeling somebody as a terrorist immediately, because what did we see last night? An act of terrorism. A man charged Congresswoman Ilhan Omar's podium and tried to attack her. And at the very least tried to scare her and terrorize her, and that's exactly what terrorism is. This was political violence, this was terrorism, and an investigation will show what we all see in the video. Meanwhile, the contrary, you see MAGA claiming that people getting killed by ICE are terrorists when there's no evidence to suggest they had any intentions of committing terror. Thanks for being here, everybody. More of an impromptu show today. Who knows how many people will join, but it should be a good show. What I like is now people seem to be watching every time we go live, which is just so exciting. Looks like we already got almost 100 people in the chat. Thanks for being here. Before we dive in, just want to say, I'm Josh Greene. You're watching The Pulse. We've got some awesome new graphics coming in just a few days. You'll see on my channel as well. Brand new banner. It has the link to all my socials at Josh the Progressive. Make sure you're subscribed. And if you want to support the work directly, click the join button. You can become a member on YouTube for less than $5. It supports the work and lets you have some exclusive perks and really cool features on this channel as well. We are a community. Happy Wednesday. Look nice in the suit. Thank you so much. I love reading everybody's chats, so look forward to seeing what everybody says today as we get going here. Usually at the top of the show, I like to just catch everybody up, talk about a few things before we dive into some footage. I want to show you the fallout with the Ilhan Omar attack in Minneapolis. I want to show you Donald Trump and his speech today with Nicki Minaj. Absolute slop fest from the disgusting criminal who's pretending to be president. And we can also just look at what is breaking on Twitter. It's also good to see, what is happening in real time because it's the middle of the day right now here in California. And of course, around the country, things are breaking all the time. So thanks for being here, everybody. How's everybody doing today? Everybody feeling good? Thank you. Everybody likes the suit. Yeah, I've been trying to wear the suits more often, but I guess this one's looking pretty good. Let me get the lighting a little bit brighter too. The one thing I'm going to need next is I'm going to put some lights in the background. So that's going to look really good. But later, like literally as of a couple days from now, you're going to see an awesome chyron going across. It'll say Josh Greene and then whatever the breaking news is. And you'll see the Pulse logo and my handle and everything. It's going to look like you're watching CNN. All right, so let's have a couple more people trickle in. Make sure everyone stays hydrated. Don't let these MAGA lunatics take your spirit away. We still have yet to find out what happened with that shooting of the ICE agent in in Arizona. What happened with that? I don't know if we learned. We just know someone's in the hospital, but we don't know. Apparently they're a gunman, according to Tucson.com/news. It says a convicted human smuggler fired a gun at a federal helicopter. It's very interesting. Hey, it's a U.S. citizen. So it was a U.S. citizen, they're saying, who was shot by Border Patrol. Sounds like he was firing his gun. Hey, thank you for becoming a member on YouTube, Against All Odds Productions. Hey, hello, it's Jeff. I don't know about the beard. Hey, I appreciate it, Jeff. Thanks for becoming a member. Give it a little bit more time, okay? Because the beard, it's going to get a little better. Give it more time. Reading a few more chats. Luigi Mangione gets spine implants removed. Is that news? I haven't seen anything about that. I saw a cop writing a ticket for someone improperly parked. There are 2 murderers still on the loose who are not charged. Feels so wrong. Yeah, our justice system is broken. It's completely broken. Okay, so here's what we know, by the way, about the shooting in Tucson. And let me just make sure I can pull this up for everybody so you can see. Aha, I knew it. I knew it. Because watch, like, this is not being talked about at all by MAGA, but turns out it was a absolutely confirmed U.S. citizen. So check this out. A convicted human smuggler fired a gun at a federal helicopter and at a Border Patrol agent on the ground who returned fire, critically injuring him in an incident Tuesday south of Tucson. No federal agents were injured, said Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos, whose agency is jointly investigating the incident with the Federal Bureau of Investigations and U.S. Customs and Border Protection, the Border Patrol's parent agency. The suspect, U.S. citizen Patrick Gary Schwegel, 34, was flown by helicopter to a Tucson hospital where he underwent surgery and is in serious but stable condition. So he's going to survive, but he is a U.S. citizen, and once again, the U.S. citizen is shot by Border Patrol. Look, if this person is a human smuggler, if they were firing their gun at federal employees, there's no way to justify that. You can't say this person is innocent. However, I don't think Border Patrol and ICE has a lot of credibility right now, and it's ironic to hear them claim people are human smugglers when we know the president and the White House are actively protecting literal human smugglers. Okay, maybe they're not smuggling people through a border into another country, but what happened in the Epstein crime ring? What did they do? They smuggled underage girls from one hotel to the next, from one property to another, from a terminal into an airplane, from an airplane to a rape island where they were raped. So I don't know what kind of human smugglers this administration thinks they're going after. Every time they talk about ICE, they say, we're going to go after these rapists and pedophiles. Really? Seriously? You want us to be focused on these so-called rapists and pedophiles that are coming from the border and not the ones that are running the government? Absurd. Absolute insanity. So, but that's the latest on that, and I thought it would be important to just acknowledge what's up with that. Let me see a few more chats coming in right now. But yeah, thanks for becoming a member. Jeff, I appreciate that. And anybody else can join by just clicking the join button. Super easy to do and really supports my work, and I really appreciate it. Making sure everybody else knows they can join. Okay, cool. Next up, I want to show you more about what happened last night. Let me show you this. Check this out. Representative Ilhan Omar, one of the most progressive members of our government, of Congress, was attacked. She was assaulted, and there's no other way to put it. Let me pull this up real quick. So there she is. We'll let this play in just a second, but basically, she was giving a town hall in Minneapolis. They were talking about ICE. She's trying to be there for her community. She's actually doing the work. She's doing what we're paying for our taxes. And you'll see what happens next. But I just want to say this is completely because of what's happening in the Trump administration. Everybody talks about how political violence is out of control, how the rhetoric is out of control in this country. The political violence and the violent rhetoric is primarily coming from the right wing. There's no other way to describe it. You cannot dispute it. The evidence backs that up. The data backs it up. Where is most of the political violence coming from? It's coming from the right, killing left-wing leaders. Most of these school shootings are from right-wing deranged youths. Most of these domestic terrorist attacks where people are blowing up random people in grocery stores is people who are writing manifestos that have the same type of language and the same type of rhetoric that you see from the Trump administration. So, of course, on the same day that Donald Trump said that Ilhan Omar is a pirate and that she cares too much about the Constitution, which is absurd to hear the president say such a thing. like we should be punishing people who abide by the Constitution. This is what happens. I want everyone to see this.
Of the agency. ICE cannot be reformed. It cannot be rehabilitated. We must abolish ICE for good. And DHS Secretary Kristi Noem must resign or face impeachment. I don't know.
Oh my God. Oh my God, he sprayed something on her.
I need a napkin to know nothing. No, we will continue.
No. You need to go get checked.
No, we will continue. These fucking assholes are not going to get away with it.
You need to go get checked. No, you don't know what he did. That's whatever it is smells so bad. She needs to go get checked. I don't know
that's
what that
that's
was.
what they want. Please don't let them have it.
It's not about him, Ilhan. It's not about him.
Please.
It's about your safety. No, he sprayed something on you. You need to go get checked. Yeah, and it smells terrible.
We're going to keep talking. Just give me 10 minutes. Just give me 10 minutes. I beg you. Please don't let them have the show. 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 Here is the reality that people like this ugly man don't understand. We are Minnesota strong, and we will stay resilient in the face of whatever they might throw at us.
It's emotional, honestly. That is unbelievable. It's inspiring. I want to talk about a few things that happened here because there's a lot to unpack. Let's bring it back to the beginning, but this time I want to pause a few times and let you know what is happening. Not just what is literally happening, but the significance of what just happened.
Of the agency. ICE cannot be reformed. It cannot be rehabilitated. We must abolish ICE for good.
First of all, listen to what she's saying. Listen to the applause from her constituents. Other Democrats watching, it's not that hard. She just says, ICE can't be reformed. It can't be changed. It has to be abolished. That's the common sense take. There's no other way to describe it. So putting everything that happens next aside, this is good work, and this is what Democrats should be doing. So I respect her. And of course, you've got this lunatic right here. You can see on my cursor. I guess he came into this event, got a front row seat, and planned on doing something weird. This is what happens.
And DHS Secretary Kristi Noem must resign or face impeachment.
So it's hard to hear, but he says something like you must resign, or like if you don't resign something, and comes up and like holds something at her and sprays her. I believe now people found out what it was. It was some like cooking chemical or something. I'll double check on that. That's something I'm not confirmed about, but she basically like had him in her face, and he's like, you need to resign or else I'm coming back, or someone's going to get you for real next time. Basically implying that like this time I'm just going to scare you, but like if you don't resign, like we're going to kill you. Obviously a lot of people want to kill her. People think that she's like a Somali invader. They're like, there's a Somali invasion happening in Minnesota. Why else do you have all these Somali people in one state, and they're changing the culture in the state, and now they have representatives? I don't know, maybe it's because that's where a lot of Somali people immigrated to, and they're citizens, by the way. It's crazy how people claim there's undocumented Somali migrants in a place where we're dealing with mostly second generation Somali Americans. Like most of these people were born on US soil, and even their parents are citizens. Like a lot of people came from Somalia in the 90s. They've been here for decades. And so she's a citizen, and people say, well, then how does it make sense that Somali people are in government there? I don't know, maybe it's because she represents her constituents. Even though the Somali population is still a very small population in the city, in the state, She won, and she won because she's just a progressive candidate. She's an incredibly smart individual. Maybe she's working twice as hard to achieve things and get to a position of power because she has racism in her face and she has these other hurdles that have forced her to be twice as intelligent and work twice as hard to get to those positions. So anyway, but watch this part. This is really amazing. She she charges at him and holds up her fist like she wasn't ready to back down. She was gonna punch him in the face. Look at this. She's ready to punch him until security restrained this sick son of a bitch. That was absolutely admirable. And I'm not sure it was a good idea for her to do that. And I'm not sure other politicians would have done the same. But that image is now going viral of her punching him in the face. So I'm trying to read a couple chats real quick. Got a couple crazy chats. So anyway, here's what happens next. You hear people yelling and swearing. Look, he gets tackled. That guy gets tackled to the ground. I feel bad for this woman because she clearly works for Representative Omar and she's trying to protect her safety. And she's trying to say, you need to go get checked. It doesn't matter about him. This is about your safety. Because if it was poison, maybe she did need to go check. So I do feel like she got a little bit ignored. But in the heat of the moment, in the chaos, I'm sure everybody talked about it after and they have a plan moving forward.
I don't know.
Oh my God. Oh my God, he sprayed something on her.
I need a napkin to know nothing. No, we will continue.
No. Ilhan, you need to go get checked.
No, we will continue. These fucking assholes are not going to get away with it.
I like her language. These fucking assholes are not going to get away with this.
Check. No, I don't know what That's whatever it is smells so bad. She needs to go get checked. I don't know
that's
what that
That's
was.
what they want. Please don't let them know.
It's not about him, Ilhan. It's not about him. It's about your safety. No, he sprayed something on you. You need to go get checked. Yeah, and it smells terrible.
We're going to keep talking.
So let's play it one more time.
Just give me 10 minutes. Just give me 10 minutes. I beg you. Please don't let them have the show. 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 Here is the reality that people like this ugly man don't understand. We are Minnesota strong, and we will stay resilient in the face of whatever they might throw at us. Everybody settle down. I'm going to finish my remarks. It is important for me to continue to lead my Democratic colleagues in demanding her resignation.
Wow. So yeah, there was that. Let me bring it back to the front real quick. But I want to show you what she said afterwards, because obviously people were wondering if she's okay, if she's fine. So let me show you this. So this is her tweet. She says, "I'm okay. I'm a survivor, so this small agitator isn't going to intimidate me from doing my work. I don't let bullies win. Grateful to my incredible constituents who rallied behind me. Minnesota strong." That was awesome to see. This has almost 6 million views now. But all you got to do is MAGA voice, at MAGA voice. Raise your hand if you think it was staged. And this has, 22,000 likes, a lot of reposts, almost 200,000 views. So I want everyone to understand, on the surface, this is just a tweet. But we know that Twitter is a town hall, and we know that this type of sentiment isn't just an isolated opinion. I mean, everyone's agreeing with this. So I shouldn't say everyone. I should say all the cult members. They get their next talking points, and they go straight for this. So like this other right-wing nut job, says, will you be pressing charges? You're a total fraud, so it's reasonable to question whether you staged this or not. Someone says, this was as fake as your $5 million winery with no wine. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. People are claiming that because she bravely charged at the attacker and then kept going with her press conference, that automatically makes it fake. Let's read this. Hello, Representative Omar. You walked towards the attacker and immediately went on with your speech after being sprayed with a foreign substance. Instead of a normal human reaction like, say, panicking about being poisoned and calling 911. I don't point this out to question your motives. Nah, I would not do that to any more than James Comey was sending a violent message with 8647. How is that a violent message, by the way? It means remove 47, like remove him from office. That's a joke. Instead, I'm going to ask you a simple question. Will you hold your own alleged attacker accountable no matter what? Do you agree he deserves jail no matter what? The longer you go without calling for justice, the more we notice. Hey, dumbass, it's been less than 24 hours and her team is probably working on it. And notice how, unlike the Trump administration, they're not automatically jumping to conclusions and calling this guy a terrorist, even though he literally attacked her and tried to commit terrorism. So watch as he will actually face a real investigation and real justice, unlike what we're seeing with these ICE agents who just kill Americans and face no consequences. So give me one moment here. Letting some people who are wondering how to find the live come join us. Thanks for over 700 people for being here so far. Really exciting. Make sure you're subscribed. Click the like button, by the way. And I want to show you what's next. I want to watch a little bit of Trump's speech from this morning. He was joined by Nicki Minaj, of all people, as they talked about the Trump accounts. The Trump accounts are going to be the latest scam. Donald Trump is going to pretend like he's giving back to the people. He says he's opening up accounts for children to save money for their future, even though it's a drop in the bucket and it's never going to amount to anything. Let's watch a little bit of this and pause as we go and react accordingly.
We're also pleased. My daughter, she went crazy when she heard that this was happening. I want to go. You know, she happens to be in the wrong state right now for that. But when she heard that there's a certain person that's here who's the greatest and most successful female rapper in history, Nicki Minaj. Come on. And, you know, and Nicki makes a lot of cash. Not as much as Michael Dell. Not quite. Not as much. But that's okay. But Nicki makes a lot of money, and she's generously stepping up. She's investing hundreds of thousands of dollars in Trump accounts to support the children and really the children of her incredible fans. That's great. Focus on that. Why should you give to somebody else's fans? Give to your fans. I like that. But, and I just think she's great. You know, I've been hearing so much over the years, because I didn't know Nicki, and I've been hearing over the years she's a big Trump supporter and a Trump fan, and she took a little heat on occasion. Her community isn't necessarily, I tell you, we did pretty damn well with that, with your community, as we say. But Nicki has been an unbelievable supporter. She gets almost as much as Mr. Wonderful over here. He's been another one that's been so good. But I'd like to ask you to come up, Nicki. Come on up. Come on. She's been such a great supporter, and a great supporter of Trump accounts. And I said, I am going to let my nails grow, because I love those nails.
This guy is such a freak, man. Such a creep. Such a creepy pedophile. And again, it's just talking about another woman's appearance instead of, I don't know, working. Does this guy ever work? Does he do anything for us? I'm not really sure.
I'm going to let those nails grow. She's so good. She's been MAGA. What can I say? She's been with us all the way. Right, Alex? She's been with us all the way. Just want to thank her. And it wasn't so easy. For you, it was easier, right? You want to come up? You want to come up? Mr. Wonderful, come on up here. You've been terrific.
So Kevin O'Leary. Great. Hey, you see the way he was clapping his hands just now? He's got to go a little softer because if he claps too hard, his whole hand is going to start bleeding. This guy's got like paper skin right now. Oh my God. Like she could have just like completely ripped his whole hand. Do you see her nails? They're like claws, right? And we know about the bruising on his hands. She could have like just killed the president by like, if she just like shook his hand wrong and the nails got to him. That's a very weird embrace. Did he just kiss her?
Hello. Well, I don't know what to say, but I will say that I am probably the president's #1 fan. And that's not going to change. And the hate or what people have to say, it does not affect me at all. It actually motivates me to support him more.
See, what she's saying there is actually a very real thing. I feel like a lot of people who support Trump don't even know what the fuck they're talking about. They don't know anything about public policy. They don't know anything about the Constitution. But the point she just made, she said, the people who hate on me for supporting Trump just motivates me to support Trump more. That is exactly what has happened to so many people. They just vote for Trump because they want to own the libs. And it's like the contrarian thing to do. You know those annoying people in life who are just contrarians? Their whole purpose is just taking the opposite of opinion of whatever's right or popular. Like, let's say you just went and saw Dune 2, which was one of the most awesome movies of the past decade, and everybody loves it because it was so well done. And somebody just says, I don't like Dune 2 because I just thought it was boring or I thought it was bad. It's like you're just a contrarian, and the more people try to say, oh, well, it's actually a really good film. You're like, no, actually, no, it's a really horrible film. You're just pushing them further into that opinion because they want to be a contrarian. I don't know, weird example, but that's what these people do. And so she's saying, oh, the more you hate on me, the more I'm going to love Trump. But why? Why? What has Trump done for you? What is Trump? Well, I mean, you're a billionaire, so of course he's done some things. But what has he done for the black community? Absolutely nothing. What has he done for working class people in the country? Nothing. So it's very tone deaf for you to talk about how great Trump is and everything when the people who are working paycheck to paycheck, who used to buy your music that you sell to the people, they're not getting anything out of this equation. So you're basically selling out your own fans by doing this. Thanks a lot.
And it's going to motivate all of us to support him more. We're not going to let them get away with bullying him and, the smear campaigns. It's not going to work, okay? He has a lot of force behind him, and God is protecting him. Amen.
Oh, yeah, great point. By the way, she's not a U.S. citizen, just so everyone understands, and she doesn't even have legal status. She's what we call an illegal. She's what we call an illegal. She's an illegal immigrant, and she does not deserve to be here because, according to the Trump administration, she should be deported. But that's how you know it's also about class. See, they're deporting working class people, people who are working at food trucks, people who are working at Home Depot, construction sites, farms, etc. But if you're a very wealthy person like Nicki Minaj, you can stay. But if you're a regular working class person, you're gone. So that's how you know it's also about the economy.
On behalf of all the entrepreneurs in America, I'd like to thank you, Mr. President, because we create 72% of the jobs. Companies 5 to 500 employees, and all we care about is policy. We love policy, pro-business policy, and these accounts are fantastic for independence and support. I thank you very much. It's all about the entrepreneur, and I think you know that, sir.
Well, that was great. A little interlude. I don't know. That's better than getting Scott Bessent up.
Oh, please. He's actually right about one thing. The last thing I want to hear is that boring Scott Besson whine his way to the stage.
Thank you both very much. Two terrific people. When Trump accounts officially launch on July 4th of this year, every parent will be able to activate their accounts and access the funds at the trumpaccounts.gov. So it's all set up, all ready to go. It's beautiful. The site is beautiful. On that glorious day, we also expect to have commitments from generous private individuals in all 50 states, and they'll be making additional contributions for children in their own states. And already legendary investor Ray Dalio has pledged to adopt the entire state of Connecticut. That's pretty good, Michael. And thank you very much, Ray. Great legend. And today, one of the original advocates of this program has agreed to adopt his home state of Indiana, Brad Gerstner. Brad's here someplace. Where's Brad? Come on. I think Michael and Brad, would you come up here, please? Come up here. I mean, this isn't exactly Mr. Wonderful and Nikki, but I think they might be worth more money than Mr. Wonderful, right? These guys are worth a lot of money. But Brad is donating, listen to this, $250 to Trump accounts for all children under 5 in Indiana. So every children, all the children under 5, 250, and he'll be donating tens of millions of dollars more in matching contributions to millions of children all across the country. He's going to make a massive donation already. We know what it is. Brad is not only one of the most successful business people, he's the founder of the Invest America Foundation. And he's been working on this idea for years. And he was the one, he went over to see Michael. Michael loved it. And those two were a hell of a team, along with Mrs. Dell, who's been so great, Susan. I also delighted to report that dozens of major employers have signed up to add the Trump account contributions to their employee benefit packages, including Uber, Schwab, Charter Communications, and many, many others. And just today it was announced that Intel, NVIDIA, Broadcom, IBM, Steak and Shake, Coinbase, Continental Resources, and Comcast have all signed up for really big contributions. So I want to thank them. I want to have you two guys come on up. Would you say a couple of words? Brad and Michael, would you say a couple of words? That's fantastic. Only Indiana. You can't do bigger. We love Indiana, but you know, how about Indiana, Iowa? No, we appreciate it. Big numbers. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, 4 years ago, we set off on a journey to reconnect every child in America with the American dream.
By the way, notice how in New Mexico and now New York City, there's universal child care. When is Trump going to talk about that? When is he going to talk about actually providing relief to families across America? Why are we one of the only countries in the world, the modern world, that doesn't really have paid maternity leave for mothers? Other countries, if you're pregnant, if you're in labor, if you have just had a child, you're able to take off from work, get paid, make sure you can still support yourself. We have like some of the shortest time periods for that, if any. It's absolutely absurd.
This president ran on a Main Street agenda that too many people had been left out and left behind. And his articulation of no tax on tips, that doesn't help rich folks. That helps those left out and left behind. No tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime. And when Ted Cruz authored the Invest America Act in the Senate, and Michael Dell partnered with me to bring the private sector to bear on this, we had the opportunity that this president was willing to sign. He immediately understood the impact. That this wasn't about the wealthy folks in America. This was about the 50 million American families who will be lifted up and reconnected to the American dream, because this is now the law of the land. Forevermore, every child in America, from rural Missouri to rural Indiana, from Trenton to Compton, is going to start off life with...
Chanta Love, $2.79 says, no ideas why you give this bully a platform. Look, if you're talking about Trump, I'm not giving him a platform. I mean, he has the most massive platform in the entire country. He's the president. So I'm not giving him anything. But I think one thing that we need to do a better job of The news, the mainstream media, they just play him uninterrupted. And his lies have gotten so repetitive and so out of control that there's no determining what is true and what isn't. And I think the difference with what we do here as real independent media, no corporate sponsors, no donors, no nothing, is that we're actually going to get to the truth of what he's saying, and we're going to push back against the MAGA lies. So ultimately, we aren't platforming him. We're going to dispel the ignorance, and we're going to actually get to the bottom of what's happening besides the corruption and the lies that we see nonstop from this administration.
An investment account at birth, seated with $1,000 where they privately own NVIDIA and Microsoft, all the greatest companies in this country, right? Not dependent on government, independent from government. Not more socialism. The answer to more socialism is more capitalism. This makes every child in America a capitalist from birth, and it would not have happened without the leadership of our Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, without the leadership of the Speaker and Ted Cruz in the Senate, but most importantly, and every business leader in America will tell you this, for too long they had no access in Washington to the White House. People didn't want to hear their ideas. This president is voracious in his desire to hear from America's leaders about how to make America better. This is citizen democracy at its best. An idea that started around a kitchen table in Silicon Valley makes its way to this day. I'm humbled and honored to be here, and I'm grateful for your leadership.
Everybody kisses his ass so much. It's another example of fascism here in the United States of America. The appeasement that's happening is unbelievable. The way other countries are capitulating, the way business leaders are capitulating. It's absolutely absurd, and it's all to gain good favor from Trump so that he doesn't punish certain businesses or certain countries. It's disgusting. It's completely bad for this country. There's no other way to describe it.
Thank you, Mr. President. As you heard from Brad, the fact that this bill got passed itself was a miracle, and it creates a platform for communities, for families, for corporations, for philanthropists to add to these accounts. And in not too many years, essentially every child in America will have savings invested in the greatest companies in this country. And that will change the face of this country over the next 10, 20, 30 years. We couldn't be more excited about this and the opportunity to make a difference. The best investment a country can make is in its people, especially in its children. And this creates an incredible platform for that to occur at enormous scale. And we're excited to see it all come together. Thank you all so much.
It's all lies, and nothing from this will last. So if you have children, if you think they're going to benefit from this plan, it's not going to happen. It's just a way for the Trump regime to try and pretend like they're giving back to the youth, back to families in America. And by the way, it is, if it does even happen, just a drop in the bucket, just a splash of benefit, when in reality, the billions and trillions of dollars of your taxes are going towards ICE and going towards Trump's $1.5 trillion dream military that he is funding the Pentagon with.
Those are two fantastic people, I can tell you that. I want to give a very special thanks to some of the CEOs here this morning. Vlad Tenev of Robinhood, what a job he's done. Where's Vlad? What a job you've done. Young guy. Nice young guy, too. Arjun Sethi of Kraken. Arjun, thank you very much, wherever you are. Thank you. Anthony Noto of SoFi Technologies. SoFi. Thank you very much, Anthony.
SoFi.
These are the ones you read about, and Bill Ackman is here, Pershing Square, and Hawk Tan.
By the way, Bill Ackman, in case anyone doesn't know, is a New York billionaire, and he was one of the most vocal opponents of Zoran Mamdani. He was desperately trying to get Andrew Cuomo elected as mayor of New York. because he was afraid that the billionaires were going to get taxed out of New York, which is not true. Nobody's left New York. He never left New York. But I want everyone to know that Bill Ackman donated over $10,000. Not a lot of money for him, but a lot of money for Jonathan Ross, the ICE agent who murdered Renee Nicole Good. His GoFundMe received 10 grand from Bill Ackman. Now, Bill Ackman corrected the record, and he said he also donated to Renee Nicole Good's GoFundMe. But the fact that he donated at all to Jonathan Ross, let alone $10,000, you're giving the murderer 10 grand for what? His legal trial? It sounds like he's not even going to be investigated by this administration. So anyway, that was a sample of Trump's speech from this morning. We're going to get into some other topics as well today. Don't worry. There's always something to be talking about in this country right now. What I want to show you next is we have members of Congress, representatives from Minnesota right now on the Senate floor discussing the unbelievable ICE siege that has taken over Minnesota. Let's bring that up in just a second. But real quick, just want to say thanks for being here. You're watching The Pulse with Josh Greene. We've got no sponsors, no corporate donors, no big money lobbyists. Real independent media pursuing the truth and trying to save this country. Thanks for helping me share the truth about what's happening. You can do so by subscribing for free. Click the subscribe button. Click the share button to share with friends. We want to grow as big as possible to make sure that the Trump movement doesn't win, that we the people take our country back. And this is just one way to do it. Get the word out there. Get the truth out there. We already had somebody join as a member. Josh, is there an email we can contact you on? If you go to my bio, there's an email for business purposes. I would encourage everybody to please try to leave that for serious, partnership inquiries or major concerns. But other than that, if everybody starts emailing, there will be too many emails for my manager to go through. But there is an email. You can find it. Let's see what else other people are saying. A lot of people hate Trump. Me too. I get my news from South Park. Yeah, I mean, fair. South Park is important. So let's listen to what some of the members of Congress are currently saying live right now about ICE. Let's see if we can get this going. Everybody see this okay? Let's see. There was some people talking. Okay.
And protect.
All right. So in just a moment, I'm sure someone else is going to jump in. But basically right now there's hearings taking place to figure out what to do next in Minnesota. Folks, I want to remind everybody that tomorrow Congress will be voting. Well, specifically the Senate is voting on whether or not they want to move forward with a package to fund ICE and DHS. And now Senator Chuck Schumer is signaling that that will be a no vote for the Democrats. But we've seen this movie before, folks. We've seen the Democrats pretend like they're going to hold out. We've seen the Democrats pretend like they're going to vote no on something. And what happens? They end up caving. Mind you, the government shutdown was actually successful until Chuck Schumer had some Democrats take the fall and vote to end the government shutdown under the promise that there would be a debate on Obamacare. Not even a promise that there would be a vote, and not even a promise that the vote would be successful. A promise that there would be consideration for a vote. And they did end up having that vote. It was no. So Obamacare will be dead. Well, essentially, they're going to cut all the funding for it. But now there's another opportunity to shut the government down, because if this appropriations package doesn't go through the Senate, it was already passed in the House, but now the Senate has a chance. If they don't want to fund the ICE and DHS part of it, it's going to create a major logjam and potentially shut down the government. Remember, the House passed the ICE and Border Patrol funding, an extra $60 billion of your taxes going towards that after 7 Democrats also voted to fund ICE. Okay? 7 Democrats voted to fund ICE. A lot of Democrats quietly support ICE, because there's a lot of conservative Democrats who claim they support law enforcement, claim they support the police. Look, I'm in the defund the police camp too. That doesn't mean get rid of all police. We want lawlessness and chaos. No, we need a better system, because anybody with eyes and ears can tell that the current system of justice is not perfect. It doesn't work. It surely doesn't work against black and brown communities when you've got police officers killing black people for no reason. So in a future world, there needs to be some type of hybrid where there's public safety, officers, but also more mental health officials, more people that can respond to certain cases that don't require police officers showing up with guns, showing up with tasers, situations that require preventative care, situations that require reducing crime from the onset and not in response to crime. So what that looks like, I'm not an expert on how we do it, but I will say this: what is happening now isn't working. And that's why you see some Democrats who still want to fund ICE, because they think the ICE regime is just another version of police. They think it's important, and they think it looks bad politically if they say abolish ICE. The Democrats in general think it's bad to say abolish the police, abolish ICE, when in reality, defund the police became a saying in 2018. What happened in 2018? The Democrats steamrolled the midterms. Donald Trump got absolutely crushed that year. And then in 2020, Democrats won back the presidency. And then in 2022, when Democrats thought they were going to have a landslide loss in the midterms, they actually performed better than expectations and held on to some seats for the Biden White House. So every time Democrats have said something is unpopular, like defund the police, well, actually, they did just fine when they were saying that. So let's see. I'm getting info that there's an ICE protest in Austin, Texas. Look, there's ICE protests everywhere. There was one in Arizona yesterday because of the shooting and because ICE was raiding sports bars in Arizona. But let me see if I can find some info on that real quick for everybody. Let's see what we can find. Let's see what we can find. Oh, okay. In the meantime, here's what I want to show everybody. Stay with me for a second. Let me pull something up for you. I want to show you some footage from last night with Senator Tom Tillis. I believe he's a Republican senator from North Carolina. So one of the most prominent Republican senators, a real white supremacist, a real conservative, Tom Tillis, yesterday shared some very candid thoughts with the media about how Republicans view Kristi Noem and Stephen Miller. And some of you may have seen this, but I do think this is something that didn't get enough airtime last night. So here's Tom Tillis, and he was asked by reporters in D.C. late last night how he feels about the job that DHS Secretary Kristi Noem is doing and how he feels about the job Stephen Miller is doing. And most Republicans would give a PR prepared answer, something safe, something that isn't going to cause a lot of controversy. Even if there's internal strife, they would try to keep those feelings to themselves, because what's the point of putting those feelings out into the media unless you're trying to create a story and unless you're trying to express serious division and serious turmoil? So unless this was just an unprofessional, momentary lapse of candidness, this may be how a lot of Republicans are actually feeling about what's happening in the Trump White House. And maybe people are finally getting sick of it. But here's what we got to hear from Tom Tillis. Ready? Here we go.
Think that we can move on before this has been adjudicated.
Senator, do you have confidence in Secretary Noem?
None at all. No, she's. I've tried to maintain confidence, but look, I've done and we'll be sharing this information. We've done a Trump 1, Trump 2 comparison of disaster relief. There's no comparison whatsoever. Trump 1 was right on with disaster recovery. You think about Matthew and Florence, and this one, she's not even handling the other part of her job. I mean, at one point she thought FEMA should be eliminated. To give you an idea of how incompetent I think she is, she actually thought FEMA should be eliminated. And when she had a FEMA director said he didn't think that was a good idea, she fired him within 24 hours.
Let's listen to that for a second. So he's saying Kristi Noem to look at how incompetent she is. She wanted FEMA removed, and when the FEMA director didn't want that, she fired him. Okay, first of all, good point. However, Donald Trump is the one saying they should get rid of FEMA, and what's the point of sending money to FEMA? Just send it to the states. An absolute joke, and a totally unserious point of view. Doesn't do anything for the country. So you've got problems. Take it up with Trump. And second of all, this is what I hate about the Republicans. And by the way, I hate Republicans. It's not a party that I even want to have as my neighbors in this country. These are pedophile protectors we're dealing with, and these are people that are okay with ICE murdering civilians, people that are okay with war. But he's saying, oh, the problems are with Kristi Noem. No, the problems are with your boss, Donald Trump. You knew this was all going to happen. You're naive if you didn't think this was going to happen, and you're actively complicit in covering up these atrocities. So it's nice to hear you shift your tone on these cabinet members, but what's going to happen? Some of these cabinet members will take the hit, just like Greg Bovino did, the commander-at-large of ICE who was recently demoted. But nobody will have the guts to say what the problem really is, which is Trump. But let's hear a little bit more of what he says, because it gets even better. Listen to this.
Now she understands that that is an important part of her job. These are like amateurish assistant manager sort of thought processes going into somebody who's a secretary in a cabinet level position. It's unacceptable.
Does she need to step down?
It's crazy how he's calling her just brutally incompetent when we've heard nothing but this administration claiming other people are incompetent, other people are unqualified, DEI, woke, gay, trans, whatever. This is actually music to my ears, because he's right. She is grossly incompetent. But I also do want to make an important point. This is an important point that I want everyone to take away. It's not that some of these people are incompetent, because some of them are. But some of them are doing exactly what they intend to do. They are doing the vision of Project 2025. They are doing Agenda 47. They are doing what the Heritage Foundation is telling them to do. So when it seems like somebody is making a completely boneheaded decision, like Stephen Miller talking about invading Greenland, or Kristi Noem trying to defund FEMA, a Republican like Tom Tillis will call it incompetence and say that it's the fault of the department and not the Trump administration. But real Americans like us know they're doing their plan. They are executing their blueprints with precision. So yes, there's some grossly incompetent characters like Kristi Noem. Is Stephen Miller incompetent, or is Stephen Miller actually doing what he intends to do? That's really where you need to ask yourself some hard questions.
Does she need to?
Stephen Miller is in the same boat. This guy, after doing the stupid comments he made about Greenland getting the president in a difficult circumstance, is one of the people that came out publicly and said that this guy was a terrorist before he had even talked with anybody on the ground, and that's clearly not the case now. So, I mean,
that is very damning, though, because the Trump administration's narrative that Alex Pretty was a terrorist, that's been completely shredded to pieces. Nobody believes that. Not even MAGA Republicans believe that. You listen to right-wing podcasters and conservative conspiracy theorists try to say this guy's a terrorist, and even their tone sounds unserious. Nobody is even believing their own words. If you hear somebody try to say, oh, Alex Pretty was a terrorist, you can see right through it. They don't even sound confident in what they're saying, and that's why Tom Tillis is saying they're incompetent, because he sees their fear, he sees their panic, he knows their story is bullshit and nobody is buying it. So he's trying to pivot and protect their asses.
it's just, I mean, Stephen Miller never fails to live up to my expectations of incompetence.
Why do you think he should be fired?
I'm going to leave that up to the president. I can tell you, if I were president, neither one of them would be in Washington right now.
But do you think Noem should step down?
I think Noem needs to decide what. I think if Noem looks at her body of work, I could not be. If I were in her position, I can't think of any point in pride over the last year. She's got to make her own decision, or the president does. But she has taken this administration into the ground on an issue that we should own. We should own the issue of border security and immigration. But they have destroyed that for Republicans. Something that got the president elected, they have destroyed it through their incompetence.
It's insane. It's insane. He's saying that they are underwater on their own issue of immigration, which is the only thing that is still carrying Donald Trump through this presidency. The economy, a disaster. Wars, disaster. Public policy, disaster. But what is he doing with immigration? At least some of these right-wing racist extremists are buying into it. But even Republicans like Tom Tillis are like, nah, you are cratering us right now. You are digging our own grave for the midterms. But an important distinction is that for a lot of people like Tom Tillis, he's calling it incompetence because he doesn't think they're doing enough. He doesn't think they're deporting enough people. He doesn't think they're killing enough Americans. This is the opinion of the America First crowd. They are mad at Trump. The incompetence is not because they're killing Americans. The incompetence is not because of these chaotic raids. The incompetence is that that stuff is getting in the way of them deporting more illegals. So don't think they're coming to the light. Don't think they're coming to our side. They are mad at Trump for not being racist enough. They are mad at Trump for not getting more of these people out quicker and faster. So they're actually to the right of Trump on a lot of these issues. They're not moving back to the center. They're not moving to the left. They are so far gone to the right. You hear people who are changing their mind about Trump, and you would think, oh, it's because he's doing way too much with immigration. No, they're mad that he's not living up to his promise and that he's not doing enough. This has been proven. This is what the sentiment is among most right-wing white Christian nationalists. Anyway, I want to take it back to what's happening in Congress right now to see if we have an update.
Salute the people in Minneapolis and across the country, including in Maryland, who are taking videos and working to hold these federal forces accountable. Think about what would have happened if there was no video in these cases. These videos have complicated the Trump administration's effort at a cover-up, even as the Trump administration refuses to work with state and local law enforcement to investigate these killings. In my state of Maryland, DHS lied about the circumstances surrounding a non-fatal shooting, and they were exposed in their lies because of a local county investigation that showed that DHS was plain wrong. DHS has restricted access to detention centers, preventing congressional oversight into inhumane conditions where we know at least 30 people have died in custody, including one death in Texas that has been ruled a homicide. And as they view the actions of peaceful protesters and observers.
This is Chris Van Hollen, I believe, and he was the one that actually went to El Salvador to meet with Kilmar Abrego Garcia when our government just abandoned him, which was absolutely insane.
As a personal offense. They've reacted with violence and labeled them domestic terrorists for practicing their constitutional freedoms and rights. In Minnesota, these federal agents hurl chemical irritants at peaceful crowds who are simply exercising their First Amendment rights to freedom of assembly and peaceful protest. They view whistles as weapons. In Portland, they claim to be threatened by people wearing frog costumes. My colleagues, Republicans in Congress, have fueled this surge in illegal activity by exploding the DHS budget with $165 billion as part of what Donald Trump called the big, beautiful bill. Remember, that's the bill where the richest people in the country were given permanent tax cuts. That's the bill that made deep cuts in health care for tens of millions of Americans. And in that bill was also this huge slush fund for DHS. ICE by itself is now the nation's highest funded law enforcement agency and has more funding than the militaries of most countries in the world, including Italy, Israel, and Brazil. ICE by itself has more funds than the armies for those countries. And now they're spending those funds to hire more agents and putting more of them out on the streets with limited training. They're preparing to turn warehouses into so-called processing sites and detention centers, including one in my home state of Maryland, doing it against the will of the community. We see DHS spitting in the face of local communities across the country. In Maryland, we had a rally with hundreds of people on a very cold day, sending a message to ICE and to the Trump administration that the people in that community did not want a warehouse for detainees right there.
Sometimes I want to just let you hear what's being said too, and just let these, representatives speak, and then we can talk a little bit too in between as people talk.
Within days of that demonstration, the Trump administration, ICE signed a deal where they purchased for $100 million of our taxpayer money to purchase a warehouse where they say they can keep up to 1,500 detainees. I can tell you Maryland taxpayers don't want their monies going to that purpose. And I'll bet you the great majority of taxpayers around this country don't want to see their tax dollars used in that way as well. And now, despite the fact that they're already clearly misusing these taxpayer dollars as American citizens are killed on the streets, our fellow Republicans, our Republicans in the Senate, want to give them even more in the bill that would be up on this floor this week. In fact, another $10 billion more for ICE and over $18 billion more for Customs and Border Patrol, while refusing.
Actually, I believe it's even more than that too. I think it's a total of $60 billion, and $10 billion of that is for ICE.
To rein in these abuses. Another blank check for lawless activity, another blank check that results in the killing of Americans.
You know why they want ICE to have billions and billions and billions of more dollars? Well, it's part of it because they're doing a $100 million ad campaign this year. Blitz the media and convince as many racist white men to join ICE because they're claiming there's an invasion, and they're going to beg poor, uneducated white guys to join ICE. So they're going to spend $100 million of your taxes on ads. It's an absolutely rigged system right now. It's disgusting.
Another blank check with no accountability. That would be mad.
Wendy, someone in the chat said something interesting. Has anyone heard of Ground News? They cover both sides' point of view in many news articles. Yeah, I actually have a partnership with Ground News. You can get 40% off the Ground News Vantage plan, which is like the unlimited all access plan where you can look at bias and news and everything. Just go to my Instagram or my TikTok and you'll find the link in the bio, or you can just type in groundnews.com/JTP as in Josh the Progressive, groundnews.com/JTP. You have to use that specific URL or click the link in my Instagram bio or my TikTok bio. It's the same link to go to a page where you can get 40% off. That saves you almost half the cost by using my promo code.
We cannot greenlight the actions of an agency that is already terrorizing our communities and executing our neighbors with billions of dollars in new funds without any regard to their constitutional rights. Again, President Trump said he was going to go after the worst of the worst. That has not been their focus, and we can see it with our own eyes. And we cannot accept the administration's claim that these agents have some kind of absolute immunity and are free from the consequences of their action. That's why an independent investigation into the killings of Renee Good and Alex Preddy has to happen. And I appreciate my colleagues from the other side of the aisle who have called for one. But that should be a standard situation. That should be the standard operating procedure in a situation like this. State and local law enforcement should, of course, be partners in that effort. The Fed should not be trying to hide evidence from those local and state law enforcement officers. We must do that, but it's not enough to take the word of the Trump administration that they will do that. We can't simply trust an administration that has repeatedly lied to the American people, as if this time they will try to do better. And again, we wouldn't be here probably but for that video. The administration would have thought that it got away with its lies. So let's not be...
This is why it's so important to record everything ICE is doing. Could you imagine a scenario in which the murder of Alex Pretty wasn't caught on video? Then they could say anything. They could say, he had a gun, he tried to shoot them. It was all on video though. It was all on video because other people filmed it, and multiple people filmed it from multiple angles. Because we have all those angles, we have all the evidence, and we can see that their story that he was trying to shoot ICE agents is completely bogus. And they're just hoping that people in the MAGA camp don't even watch the video and just take their lies at face value. Could you imagine for just a moment here that we didn't have video of the murder of Renee Nicole Good? There was no video of it whatsoever. They would say she ran over the ICE agent with her car and that the ICE agent was in the hospital and had to fire defensive shots. But because we have video, we saw the way he mercilessly took her life for no reason. Mercilessly. It's a pronunciation issue.
Naive. We're not going to give away our responsibility as legislators to put real reforms right into the DHS bill to prevent this lawlessness, to prevent these killings, to protect our freedoms, and to assure real accountability. Our most important job is protecting the life and liberty of the American people. It's sadly too late to protect Alex Pretty and too late to protect Renee Good, as they should have been protected. But it's not too late to act on behalf of...
This is why it's so pathetic, the 7 House Democrats, some of them who are now saying, we regret voting yes to fund ICE just a few days ago. They voted yes after the killing of Renee Nicole Good, after the killing of Keith Porter in Los Angeles that hasn't gotten as much media attention. Maybe because he's black, or maybe because it was an off-duty ICE agent. Maybe both. But how could you still vote yes, knowing everything ICE is about? I mean, you should have known going into Trump's first term what this was going to be. But now you're just saying you want to vote no after the killing of Alex Pretty? I mean, anybody who's still on the fence, they're going to keep killing people. You need to wake up now. You need to wake up yesterday.
The rest of the American people. So this week, we have before us a package of appropriation bills that includes the work of 6 appropriations subcommittees, including defense, transportation, housing, labor, health and human services, foreign operations, and financial services. These are not perfect bills, and I have serious concerns with some of them that I would like to see addressed. But it's also clear that there's enough support in this body to pass them. We could pass them today if they were separated out. In fact, when those bills went through the House of Representatives, they considered the Department of Homeland Security bill on its own merits. They didn't bundle it in with everything else and say, you know, you gotta vote for this whole package at one time. So the House, after they passed it individually, they pulled all those bills together and sent them in a bundle over here to the United States Senate. But my goodness, that doesn't mean the United States Senate has to take it that way from the House. This is supposed to be an independent branch of the Congress. I don't know why we would surrender our responsibilities to the House of Representatives, and they should get right back into Washington if we change this bill and pass it to prevent a shutdown of those agencies. That's their responsibility. Mr. President, the House needs to perform its duties, and we need to perform ours. And ours involve making sure that we separate out those.
I'm going to let this keep playing, but I'm trying to find some footage from the protests happening in Texas right now outside an ICE detention facility. Let me see if I can find a reliable feed. This is where the 5-year-old boy is being held with his father. Remember the boy with the blue, like little octopus-looking beanie? There's currently some type of protest happening there. Let me see if I can find footage of that for you, but let's watch this still.
5 appropriation bills that I mentioned from the Homeland Security appropriations bills. In fact, I would argue that we should also take, as part of the package of 5 bills, we should take FEMA and TSA and the Coast Guard, which are part of the DHS bill. And we could send all of those back to the House for immediate passage to go on to the president. But instead, Republican colleagues here are wasting time. We could take up that package today if there was the will to do it among my Republican colleagues. But right now, instead, we're holding all of those other agencies, the Defense Department, Health and Human Services, hostage to holding on to the Department of Homeland Security bill that needs to be changed dramatically. I don't think that a single person in this body would argue against deporting those who have committed serious crimes, the worst of the worst. But that is not what this administration has been focused on. Nothing about this has been targeted. And Trump's ICE is not focused, as they promised, on the worst of the worst. They're stopping and arresting people who are citizens, who are legal residents, who have legal pending asylum claims, just because of how they look or their accent. And they're wreaking havoc on communities across the country, including on peaceful protesters, two whom have now given their lives to protect our freedoms. And you know what? They're not just using their own agents as part of this indiscriminate dragnet. They're bringing in other agencies
Senator Chris
as well.
Van Hollen. Chris Van Hollen speaking from Maryland. This is the senator that went to El Salvador to meet with Kilmar Abrego Garcia.
Distracting them and redirecting them from critical missions. Senator Warner released data that showed that nearly half of the FBI agents in its largest field offices have been redirected to immigration away from fighting drug trafficking, terrorism, and violent crime. Mr. President, it's time for us in the Senate to do our job. This isn't going to go away with the couple hours of extra training, personnel reassignments, or administration statements. Let's make this a moment for real change and not give DHS another huge blank check. I, for one, will not vote for one more dime for this lawless DHS operation that we're witnessing at this time. And I yield the floor.
The senator from Missouri.
Thank you, Mr. President. We are at an inflection point in this country.
This is what MAGA lunatics say.
And what happens over the next few months will ring onward far into the future. We've all seen the scenes in Minneapolis, the riots, the violence, the bitter chaos. We've seen the headlines, the TV monologues, the nightly news reports, and the pundits' spin. If you weren't paying close attention, it might seem like all of this noise just exploded out of nowhere a month or two ago. But the story of what's happening in Minneapolis didn't begin last month. It didn't even begin last year when President Trump took office. It began on January 20th, 2021, the day Joe Biden became president.
Oh my God.
The Biden administration did something that has no precedent in American history. They intentionally opened our border to a full-scale invasion.
This is what they say. They say it's an invasion, and they say the border was intentionally opened for an invasion. It's absurd.
And actively sought to block any and every attempt to fight back. Millions upon millions of illegal aliens entered our country illegally, flooding in from some of the most violent places on earth. in direct violation of constitutionally enacted immigration laws passed by multiple Congresses and signed by presidents of both parties. It was the most egregious betrayal of federal law in American history.
This freaking candy cane looking tie, this dumb motherfucker.
Trump ran and won on fixing this. It wasn't some minor footnote in his platform. It was one of the most fundamental, defining policies of his 2024 campaign. If you went out on the street and grabbed 10 Americans at random in November of 2024 and asked them what Donald Trump was running on, just about every single one of them will give you the same exact answer: the economy and illegal immigration. And here's the thing. He won. Donald Trump won. And let me repeat that for my Democrat colleagues. He won. He won the Electoral College.
We know he won.
He won the popular vote. He swept all the battleground states, running on the promise to end the invasion and send illegal immigrants back home. The promise was one of the key reasons the American people sent him back to the White House. That was democracy in action. You know, we hear a lot of talk from the other side about democracy. Well, if democracy means anything at all, it means that this administration must be allowed to carry out the agenda the American people voted for: enforcing our immigration laws, securing the border, and deporting immigrants who are here illegally. This is not a new concept, by the way. Democrat presidents for the last 20 years have done this. But the other side never had any intention of letting this happen. President Trump moved forward with his agenda. They were never going to let us enforce our immigration laws against those who had broken them. Why is that? Well, because mass migration is not just one policy preference among many for today's Democrat Party. It is the policy priority, the fundamental organizing principle of their entire agenda. It is the foundation of their platform and the final end of their worldview. Not one single Democrat has called on leftists in the streets to stop impeding law enforcement with their cars or to stop physically attacking law enforcement. Not a single one. They have zero interest in lowering the temperature. At this point, it's so obvious it almost feels silly to say. In Minnesota and here in D.C., Democrats are actively and intentionally adding fuel to the fire. The mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob Frey, has claimed his city is invaded, under siege, occupied. The lieutenant governor of Minnesota, Peggy Flanagan, declared that our neighbors are being disappeared. It's just called kidnapping, and publicly called upon Americans to put...
If anybody has a feed of the Texas protests right now, I'm going to try and find that for you guys. I'm just having trouble finding a live feed, but let me see what I can do for you.
Put your body on the line and not go silently into the night. The governor, Tim Walz, compared the ICE presence in Minnesota to a Nazi occupation and likened residents of Minneapolis to Anne Frank. On Monday, Walz published an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal declaring that the Trump administration's assault on Minnesota is a campaign of organized brutality against the people of our state.
I've got something for everybody. Hang on. 3. Okay, take a look at this. This is live. Hang on.
We've seen it already, so let's go back here and
Hold on, hang on. That was not what we wanted, or is it? This is in Texas right now. Take a look at this.
Oh, but state troopers.
Hang on, let me resize this for everybody so we can see it clearly. Happening now. This is in Dilley, Texas. Is that near Austin? I'm not sure, but take a look at this. Protests outside Texas Family Detention Center housing 5-year-old Minneapolis boy and his father. Remember, again, that's the little boy with the blue squid beanie.
Fold as well, but state troopers starting to push back. I saw some. Oh, there we go. Oh, that landed on top of a photographer's camera, and I could see the photographer jump back there. So they have. I see a number of troopers have taken a few people into custody down there on the ground, but the vast majority of them have been pushed back. All of this literally unfolding here as these troopers in the riot gear, the state troopers, were the ones that were brought in on a school bus just a short while ago, and then quickly sent off those exploding smoke devices, getting the crowd to.
Okay, yeah, real quick, I'm gonna record a video for that. You guys are getting more of a raw, unfiltered version of me today, but I need to tell people on social media about this. This is how I do it. Fix the lighting a little bit. Breaking news, a massive protest has, let me say it a little bit differently. Massive news out of Texas that you should be aware of. Protests have erupted outside a family detention center for ICE detainees. You guys got used to seeing me do these on a first try. Massive news out of Texas right now, and even if you're like myself and you're nowhere near Texas, you should be aware of this because this has major ramifications for the entire country. There's a huge protest outside an ICE detention facility where the 5-year-old Minneapolis boy is currently being held with his father, and this protest is getting out of hand because ICE is now firing once again at American citizens and peaceful protesters, including journalists as well. Take a look at this footage. Perfect. Perfect. Yeah, you guys got to see the blooper reel. So that'll go live on social media in just a moment. Let me bring back what we were watching as well. I'm not sure where other people are getting a live feed of that, though. But let's take a look at what is happening in Congress.
Roll out in full kit and hop in cars from a different target set. Guys are risking it all in -40 temperatures to grab foreign invaders, getting attacked the very same time by the very same countrymen they're trying to protect, with the entire city mobilized against them. They don't even think of stopping for 1 second. They don't eat, they barely sleep, they survive on nicotine and black coffee and the occasional MRE. Not one of them, dozens, if not hundreds of men I've talked to, even thinks about quitting. Everyone, senior leadership, is out there right now. The equivalent of general officers are out there on the ground making arrests and fighting through protesters alongside their guys. I've never seen commitment like this before. These men are genuine heroes. They're putting it all in the...
Real quick, everybody, I just want to say thanks for being here. We'll go for a little bit longer, but then I want to record a few other things as well that you can find on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Facebook. So thanks for being here. If you're not sure if you're subscribed, do me a favor, just double check, click the subscribe button for me. That's the quickest way you'll know for sure if you are subscribed to the channel. And that's the best way that you'll never miss a video. And what we're about to continue watching is members of Congress debating whether or not they're going to vote to fund ICE at the tune of $60 billion more dollars. It's absolutely disgusting. Disgusting, but nonetheless, we should see some type of logjam because the Democrats are finally saying they will stop funding ICE. Chuck Schumer is trying to put together some type of resistance plan against more ICE funding, which is honestly just the bare minimum at this point. Just the bare minimum at this point. So, how's everybody doing today? Thanks to everybody who became a member just by clicking the join button. Supports the channel and yeah, gives you some really cool perks. You get to be a member in the chat. Eventually, I'll start posting some exclusive content for members only as well to get more of a behind-the-scenes glimpse into the work I do, and it's just a great way to interact as a tight-knit community as well. So special shout-out to our members. And look, if you have to choose between watching cable news and this, well, two things. Number one, I'm not corrupt and I'm not funded by any corporate interests. And number two, this is going to be more entertaining because we're going to have some laughs. We're going to get emotional. We're going to keep it real. It's not going to be uncharismatic fake news that you see on TV nowadays. Get ready with me videos. We'll see about that. We will see about that. But anyway, let's let this roll a bit more.
Line every day,
I asked my colleague from across the aisle if he'd pause for a question, not to address all of the list of particulars he threw at all 47 of his colleagues on this side of the aisle, but to simply make one point. And that is, he said, Democrats want to shut down the government. Did he forget that Republicans are in charge of this chamber? Did he forget that all 47 of us here said we're willing to vote today on the 5 spending bills? Did he miss that somehow? Republicans in charge of the Oval Office? In charge of the House of Representatives? In charge of the Senate? Yes, when I complete my remarks, I'll be happy to address a question. In charge of the Senate, and that we're ready to vote now on those 5 bills. So if there's a shutdown, it's clear where it's coming from. It's coming from the Republican leadership, the President of the United States of America. I've been profoundly disturbed by what I've seen with the way that the agents from the Customs and Border Protection and ICE have acted across this country. I held 17 town halls, very conservative Republican counties, super red counties, blue counties, purple counties, and people came out from across my state to say they are shocked, that they are disturbed by what they are seeing happening across our entire nation. They came to my town halls to say one simple thing: no more must this conduct occur. And I've come to the floor now to say no more. No more rogue patrols of federal agents accosting people based on the color of their skin or their accent. No more intrusions and violations into sensitive places like churches and mosques, synagogues, schools, daycare centers, hospitals, courthouses, and polling places. No more secret police tactics in which agents hide their personal identity, hide their agency identity.
Anyways, this is going to go on for a few hours. They're going to be debating. So, but I will call it here for today. I'm going to try to do more lives more often, but keep them a little bit shorter because that's a better balance for me. So, plan is to be back tomorrow around this same time. Usually like to go live around 11:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Take care, everybody. Hey, make sure you're subscribed. Even if the show's ending, click the like button, click the share button on the channel so people can find it. You can become a member by clicking the join button. If you want to follow other platforms, like if you just found this YouTube, go to my description box and you can find my Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, etc. It's all at Josh the Progressive. Easy to find, easy to type. Thanks for being here. Appreciate your time today. We covered a lot, from Ilhan Omar getting attacked in Minnesota to Donald Trump's speech with Nicki Minaj. And of course, tomorrow we will find out some answers as to whether or not the Senate will cave and vote to fund ICE or not. Thanks for being here. I'm going to record some more videos this afternoon too, so you'll never miss a video as long as you're following the other platforms. Appreciate the day. Stay safe, stay vigilant, stay well, and fight the fascist Trump regime. Thanks for being here.